February 22nd, 2026, Tapalpa, Jalisco, Mexico. Mexican special forces moved through the darkness toward Cabañas La Loma, a remote cabin complex in the mountains. Helicopters circled overhead. Armored vehicles blocked every exit. Inside the compound, Nemesio Oseguera Cervantes, El Mencho, the leader of the Jalisco New Generation Cartel, Mexico's most wanted man, the world's most powerful fentanyl trafficker. For over a decade, he'd evaded capture, built a cartel empire operating in 75 countries, flooded America with fentanyl that killed thousands. The US had a $15 million bounty on his head. But someone had betrayed him. A trusted associate connected to one of El Mencho's romantic partners had led intelligence agents straight to him. At dawn, Mexican troops stormed the compound. Gunfire erupted. El Mencho's bodyguards fought back with rocket launchers and automatic weapons. When the smoke cleared, El Mencho was wounded, captured. They loaded him onto a helicopter bound for Mexico City. He never made it. He died in flight, bleeding out from multiple gunshot wounds. Within hours, Mexico erupted in violence. His cartel launched coordinated attacks across 20 states, over 250 roadblocks, burned vehicles, assassinations, 25 National Guard troops killed, entire cities paralyzed. How did intelligence agencies track down the man who'd stayed hidden for over a decade? And who was the person closest to El Mencho who gave him up, leading to his death and one of the bloodiest cartel retaliation attacks in Mexican history? July 17, 1966, Aguililla, Michoacán, Mexico. Nemesio Rubén Oseguera Cervantes was born into poverty in rural Michoacán. One of 9 children, no opportunities, no future. At 12, Nemesio worked the avocado fields. At 17, he crossed illegally into the United States, settled in California, worked construction, distribution job. In 1992, San Francisco police arrested 26-year-old Nemesio. Charge: heroin trafficking. He served time in a U.S. federal prison. After his release, the U.S. deported him back to Mexico. Nemesio returned to Michoacán. But he didn't go back to the fields. Nemesio joined local trafficking organizations. He started low, enforcer, muscle. But he was smart, ruthless, strategic. He rose through the ranks. Around 2009, Nemesio saw an opportunity. He gathered loyal fighters, recruited ex-police and military, built his own organization. He called it Cartel de Jalisco Nueva Generación, the Jalisco New Generation Cartel, CJNG. And Nemesio took the nickname that would make him infamous, El Mencho, a diminutive of Nemesio. El Mencho didn't just traffic drugs. He built a military-style organization, Military Precision. El Mencho recruited former Mexican Special Forces soldiers, trained his sicarios like an army, body armor, high-powered weapons, armored vehicles, rocket launchers, armed drones. In 2015, CJNG shot down a Mexican military helicopter with a rocket launcher, the first time a cartel had ever downed military aircraft. While other cartels fought over traditional territories, El Mencho expanded aggressively. Within years, CJNG controlled operations in all 32 Mexican states, and internationally, 75+ countries worldwide. El Mencho saw the future before anyone else. Fentanyl was cheaper to produce than heroin, more addictive, more profitable. He became one of the primary suppliers flooding the United States with fentanyl. By the mid-2000s, CJNG had become one of the most powerful cartels in the world. The FBI considered it Mexico's most powerful trafficking organization. Revenue estimated in the billions. El Mencho was different from other cartel leaders. He didn't live flashy, no social media, no public appearances. He stayed hidden, operated from the shadows. There were only a handful of photos, all decades old. But his violence was unmistakable. CJNG pioneered new tactics: armed drones, improvised explosive devices, direct assaults on security forces. The US government designated CJNG as one of the top transnational criminal organizations. They put a $10 million reward on El Mencho, later increased it to $15 million, one of the highest bounties in history. In February 2025, the Trump administration designated CJNG as a foreign terrorist organization. For years, he evaded capture, changed safe houses constantly, used encrypted communications, trusted almost no one. For over a decade, El Mencho stayed completely hidden while building CJNG into the most powerful cartel in Mexico. Nobody could find him. But El Mencho had one weakness: his personal life. So how did that weakness finally expose him? And who was the person close to him who betrayed him to intelligence agencies? 2020 to 2026. The hunt intensifies. By the 2020s, El Mencho's family was collapsing. His wife arrested, his son extradited to the US, his daughter in custody. But he had one vulnerability. El Mencho had separated from his wife in May 2018. He was in a relationship with another woman. On February 20th, 2026, Mexican military intelligence tracked a trusted man, a courier connected to El Mencho's romantic partner. Intelligence agents watched as this associate escorted the woman to Tapalpa, Jalisco, a remote mountain town. The destination, Cabañas La Loma, a vacation rental near the Tapalpa Country Club. The property had been sanctioned by the US Treasury in 2015 for providing support to CJNG. Friday night, February 20th, the romantic partner met with El Mencho at the cabin. She spent the night. Saturday, February 21st, she left, but El Mencho stayed behind. US intelligence through the Joint Interagency Task Force confirmed El Mencho's exact location. Mexican Special Forces had hours to act. President Claudia Sheinbaum authorized the operation. Mexican Army Special Forces, National Guard, 6 helicopters, armored vehicles, no US forces on the ground, only intelligence support. Before dawn, Sunday, troops moved into position. Aerial surveillance spotted El Mencho's bodyguards carrying rocket launchers and high-caliber weapons. Go. Intelligence tracked El Mencho through his romantic partner. Mexican Special Forces surrounded the compound at dawn, but his bodyguards had rocket launchers. What happened when the shooting started? February 22nd, 2026, dawn, Cabañas La Loma. Mexican Special Forces stormed the compound. El Mencho's bodyguards opened fire immediately. Automatic weapons, grenades, rocket launchers. Defense Secretary Trevella later described the response as extremely violent. The battle raged for hours. Eyewitness footage showed armored vehicles advancing through thick black smoke. Automatic gunfire echoed through the mountains. During the chaos, El Mencho and 2 bodyguards ran into the woods. Soldiers tracked them. Another firefight erupted. El Mencho and his bodyguards were wounded. Multiple gunshot wounds. 8 CJNG members killed. 3 Mexican soldiers wounded. A military helicopter was struck by gunfire and forced into an emergency landing. Soldiers found El Mencho hidden in the undergrowth, critical condition, bleeding heavily. They loaded him onto a helicopter bound for Mexico City. El Mencho died during the flight. Blood loss, shock, his kidneys already failing from disease. His 2 bodyguards also died en route. Defense Secretary Trevilla announced Nemesio Oseguera Cervantes, known as El Mencho, was killed during a military operation. The US celebrated. The White House called him one of the top traffickers of fentanyl into our homeland. But CJNG was already responding. El Mencho died bleeding out in a helicopter. Within hours, CJNG launched the most violent cartel retaliation in Mexican history. How many people died in the revenge attacks? And who coordinated the violence? February 22nd, 2026. Morning. Across Mexico. CJNG launched coordinated attacks. Over 250 roadblocks across 20 Mexican states. El Tuli, El Mencho's right-hand man, orchestrated everything. He offered a bounty, 20,000 pesos, $1,100, for killing each member of the military. Guadalajara turned into a ghost town. Puerto Vallarta, a major resort city, engulfed in flames. Videos showed tourists trapped in hotels, buses burning. We can hear gunshots. We can't leave. Airlines cancelled flights. Delta, Alaska Airlines, American, Air Canada. Thousands of tourists stranded. 25 National Guard members killed in Jalisco. 1 state police officer killed. 1 prison guard killed. 1 pregnant woman killed in crossfire. 30 CJNG members killed in clashes. Total, over 70 people killed in 48 hours. Later on February the 22nd, security forces tracked El Tuli to El Grulo. He opened fire on officers. They killed him in the clash. By Monday, President Sheinbaum assured, Mexico is calm. But the damage was done. El Mencho was dead. El Tuli was dead. His son, imprisoned in the US. His wife and daughter in custody. No clear successor. The US confirmed they would pay the $15 million reward. But the informant's identity remains classified. That person is almost certainly in witness protection. New identity, new location, because CJNG will never stop looking. Over 70 people killed. 2 leaders dead. No successor. The informant in hiding with $15 million, but CJNG hunting them forever. So was killing El Mencho worth it? And what's his legacy? The death of El Mencho. February 22nd, 2026. The most powerful drug trafficker in the world died bleeding out in a helicopter. A man who built an empire in 75 countries, who flooded America with fentanyl that killed tens of thousands. Over 70 people killed in 48 hours. 250 plus roadblocks. Entire cities paralyzed. CJNG still exists. The fentanyl crisis still kills 100,000 plus Americans annually. And someone, somewhere, is already planning to become the next El Mencho. One person's decision to betray him brought it all down. And that person is in hiding, forever. Thanks for watching. Subscribe for more true crime documentaries. Drop your theories. Who betrayed El Mencho, and will they survive?